This is your WCIA 3 forecast first, sponsored by Matex Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electrical.
Hey there, good evening to you. Thanks for joining us on another beautiful, crisp, cool, spring-like day. Those blue skies. If you look close, you can see a little bit of activity there on the field down there. It's sort of baseball or softball, but there in Gibson City on our Morning America Gibson Area Hospital camera, looking to be just a beautiful day with the sunshine in place. A few more clouds near I-70 today, but overall it has been beautiful. Temperatures in the 60s once again. A little warmer in Effingham at 62 degrees, but still 60 in Champaign. And you know the drill. Sunsets, those temperatures cool back off. We're going to be heading back down to those 30s again for an overnight low, but the nice weather is going to continue. But some of those temperatures could get even cooler. We'll talk about how low we're headed when we come back. WCIA 3 News starts right now.
You're watching your local news leader. This is WCIA 3 News at 5.
It's just senseless, and it's a tragic waste.
A third person is dead after a violent weekend in Champaign County. Good evening, I'm Paul Cicchini. Jennifer has the night off. Issa Musa died in the hospital last night after he was shot in the head while letting a friend's dog outside at a home in Urbana. WCIA 3's Jen Lask has been following the investigation into the 4 weekend shootings. Jen, what can you tell us tonight?
Paul, officials with the Urbana Police Department say that they're working with the Champaign Police Department and the County Street Crimes Task Force on these shootings. They still don't know if they're connected to each other. The mayors of Champaign and Urbana are trying to join together as well to try and get to the systemic issues surrounding gun violence. With shootings on the rise, I asked if COVID-19 has made it harder for people to access programs that are supposed to help combat the violence. They say the programs pivoted to offer remote services as well.
Unfortunately, that the very important human touch of being in person isn't something that we can do, but we can continue to meet electronically.
We do have a lot of programs, services, resources that have been offered time and time again to people. But what we need are families and friends to encourage individuals to take advantage of that help that's offered.
Marlon says gun violence has to be a national priority as well, and Finan agreed, adding that she has faith the CU community will find a way to tackle it. Now, first and foremost, in order to do that, they're asking anyone with information, surveillance videos as well, to come forward and reach out to police, or they can submit anonymous tips to Crime Stoppers over these weekend shootings. Live in the newsroom, Jen Lask, WCIA 3, your local news leader.
And hopefully someone does come forward. Jen, thanks. Now, the county's Community Coalition will be holding a meeting tomorrow. Other resources include CU Trauma and Resilience Initiative, CU Fresh Start, and the Illegal Gun Bounty Reward Program being offered through Crime Stoppers. School resource officers might not be in the Champaign School District forever, but they are staying for now. There's been debate about getting rid of them. But during last night's school board meeting, the board voted 6-1 to renew its contract with the city of Champaign. Board members say the decision comes after a wave of gun violence in Champaign-Urbana. It's a decision students have mixed feelings about.
I had some trouble going to teachers about things because I didn't also it was just I had them for that year. Officer Canales, he was there all 3 years.
For that more friend aspect, whenever I would have a problem, I would go to the counselors and the people whose job is to hear about our problems.
The district will revisit SRO contract renewals at the same time next year. Springfield police are investigating a shooting. It happened just before midnight near South Passfield and West Scarlett. Investigators say a gunshot victim showed up at St. John's Hospital. The 20-year-old had been shot several times and underwent surgery. He is expected to survive. There is no suspect information at this time. House and Senate both back in action in Springfield, and the pace is starting to pick up again. Capitol Bureau Chief Mark Maxwell is covering the developments for us. He's live in the House now. Mark, what's on the agenda this year?
Paul, the speed is frenetic. The House just let out moments ago. These seats behind me empty, but a minute ago there was a lot of business happening here. Keep in mind, the House has a lot of catching up to do after they sat on the sidelines much of last year and took a bit of time off from being in Springfield after electing House Speaker Chris Welch at the start of the session. But there is still lingering tension hanging over from that lame duck session. The Black Caucus wanted to end qualified immunity, that legal shield that protects police officers from liability, but they took that out of the final piece of that police reform bill that ended cash bail. Now, that same push to end qualified immunity is coming back, and House Republican leader Jim Durkin, a former prosecutor, well, he's not thrilled.
That bill was a disaster. It should never have been called in the last minutes. That was just basically an agreement that Mike Madigan made with the Black Caucus to get that called in exchange for their support when he thought he was going to be re-upped.
This is not an anti-cop. This is not a defund the police. It's none of that. This only targets the bad apples, the ones who do extreme measures, willful and wanton acts. It's not those who make mistakes. It's not for those. Mistakes happen, but it's for those who violate a constitutional right.
The debate over police accountability now back on in Springfield. Other big ticket items, of course, the budget, coronavirus recovery with economic relief there. And as always, every decade, there's that big political fight over the political maps. Republicans making that a big part of their agenda as well as those hearings proceed. We'll keep you plugged in all week long as the House and Senate both back in action. For now, reporting in Springfield, Mark Maxwell, WCIA 3, your local news leader.
And we'll look forward to those updates all week. Mark, thanks. And a member of the governor's staff and a separate member of the speaker's office have both tested positive for the coronavirus. Both staffers are isolating, and public health officials are reaching out to people who were in close contact with them. Neither the governor nor speaker came into close contact with those infected workers. Proof of income requirements could soon be reduced for people looking for a new home. One of the state's main programs to prevent homelessness comes in the form of rent vouchers. A new proposal in the Capitol would require landlords to lower their proof of income requirements by the amount given in the rent voucher. Advocates say the change is the first step of many in helping people in need get fair housing.
One thing we need to do is increase the number of vouchers. We need to reckon with this idea that housing is unaffordable, right? That is just a consequence of economics. It's not going to go away.
State's under an eviction moratorium because of the pandemic, and while that moratorium has allowed people to keep a roof over their heads, landlords say they are taking major hits to their bottom lines. Here's an update now. We told you Danville's shutting down Seminary Street by Junction. That's because an overpass needs repair. Norfolk Southern tells us crews are beginning work tomorrow. There's a hole in the wooden decking that's allowing gravel to fall through. The railroad says the bridge is structurally sound and passed inspection. The street could reopen next week. There are new concerns, health concerns specifically, over the Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccine. Now, both the CDC and FDA are recommending a pause in the use of that one-shot vaccine. They're investigating whether it's caused some rare blood clots. There have been 6 reported cases among nearly 7 million doses delivered, a chance of less than 1 million you could be impacted. One woman has died, though. All 6 cases happened in women between the ages of 18 and 48. Their symptoms all developed 6 to 13 days after getting that shot.
You want to make sure that safety is the important issue here. We are totally aware that this is a very rare event. We want to get this worked out as quickly as we possibly can.
Johnson & Johnson issued a statement saying, quote, there is no clear relationship between these rare events and its vaccine. There have been similar blood clot concerns with the AstraZeneca vaccine, which is not yet approved for emergency use in the U.S. So with all that in mind, here's a look at today's COVID numbers statewide. Hospitalizations from the virus have doubled in the last month. There are more than 2,000 people in the hospital. In Region 3, the area in red on your screen over here, 83% of ICU beds are being used, up 4% from yesterday. Region 6, that is the area in yellow. It's at 61% usage. Now, the 7-day positivity rate up to 5%, and the state is reporting nearly 3,200 new infections. 17 more people have died. OSF Healthcare is expanding. It's opening a new on-call urgent care in Mattoon next Tuesday on Charleston Avenue East. OSF says these new locations are being built near neighborhoods and shopping centers where historically there haven't been healthcare providers. It'll be set up for treatment for things like colds, the flu, fractures, and other issues. Urgent care will be open every day of the year from 8 to 8. The pandemic has hit a lot of people hard. How students are making sure they can still get food on the table. Plus, the killing of an unarmed black man in Minnesota has revived calls for police reform. What came out of a meeting today in the Oval Office.